Hello, Lisa. Hi, nice to see you. So, today's topic of our Get Mindful talk is meditation. We touched on various meditation forms, like the breath meditation we talked about. We also talked about visualization with respect to the inner advisor and the safe space last week. We also talked in detail about the body scan, which is also a kind of meditation in our last talk. So what exactly is meditation about? We mentioned it slightly in other talks, but today we decided to spend a whole talk on the meditation. So why exactly are we always coming back to meditation also in our mindfulness talks? And I'm pretty sure that people listening to us are not just in our talks hearing about meditation, but also in many other areas in the life. So what's this meditation all about? Why people more and more talk about it? And what's kind of the secret of meditation?
I think, you hear a lot of things positive. Many people say, oh, you absolutely have to meditate, or, you really will never have any kind of spiritual awakening. Other people say, oh, meditation is completely useless. You don't have to meditate. And, I think the truth of that is probably as everything is, somewhere in the middle. Now, I personally recommend everybody to have a meditation practice for several reasons. I think meditation is learning how to meditate gives you an immediate access to stress reduction, which you use anytime during the day, so that's kind of, it's an immediate reduction of everything. And so I think it has unbelievable immediate short-term benefits in helping us, in particular helping people who have stress issues. That's the one side. And the other side is it helps us kind of create the ability to focus our minds. We tend to be very flighty in our ability to concentrate. We all kind of suffer a little bit from attention deficiency disorder. We're so distracted, and this helps us to learn to concentrate on one thing, which is very, very helpful for us when we're practicing, or when we're learning how to put space between us and our thoughts, which is kind of the basis of everything we're talking about. Is how not to identify with our thoughts. And in order to do that, it's important for us to have ability to put our focus, to put our focus where we'd like to have it. And meditation kind of, it's the best way to kind of train that focus, not train the mind, but train that focus.
Yes, and with being more focused, it's also goes in line with being more concentrated, right? And then being more efficient and all this. So that's a long chain which follows.
Yeah, definitely. I think for most of us, when you're still studying, when you're still in school, you have that, you have to some degree, hopefully, you have that ability to concentrate on one thing. And if you've been away from the university for a long time and go back, you notice, oh my God, I can't stay on one thing for more than 5 seconds. And this is very important to learn how to concentrate, how to focus your attention on one thing.
Yeah.
And not be distracted, because this is the ability that we need to take our focus away from our thoughts and to move it into our bodies.
Yeah.
And this is, again, the key to understanding our emotional lives, to not being so reactive, to not allowing our emotions to lead our lives. And so a lot of it is simply having the ability to put our focus where we'd like to have it, to have our awareness where we'd like to have it. And that's meditation is the key.
Yeah, exactly. And you also mentioned in several of our Get Mindful talks, we don't meditate like to meditate very long, whatever. But for these reasons, which you've just mentioned, however, when you are now want to start with meditation, then I think it's the formal situation which would be a good access to get used to a regular meditation practice, right?
Well, to some degree, I think some people can begin with a formal sitting meditation practice, like 5 minutes, and then move up from there. Some people, that's not going to happen. They're just too nervous. They're too impatient. Their minds are just too wild at the moment. That 5 minutes just there's so much resistance in those 5 minutes that a formal sitting meditation is not going to happen. It's not helpful. Because if we have resistance to the meditation practice, then it's not helping us. Meditation should always be joyful. And if it's not joyful, then it's probably too long.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people, I suggest beginning with one breath.
Yeah.
And that's hard enough. People who've begun meditating, one breath, what's one breath? And then you find, wow, I can't even stay with one breath. Because the point of meditation is not entering some wild, altered state, to become, to change completely who you are. Meditation is kind of an understatement. It's very, subtle. It's simply creating space to your thoughts, to move back from your thoughts, to be able to see your thoughts and not be so tied up in them. And so I like, suggesting for most people to begin with one breath. Just one breath, and do that 20 times a day, 50 times a day. For some people, twice a day, once a day. It's again, the easiest thing in the world and the hardest to do because we forget. We get all in our minds again, and then we forget.
Yeah. And here,
what?
And here it's also true what we've said in our last talk with respect to the body scan. It may sound so simple and so subtle, but the effect is enormous. And once you've discovered the effect, the feeling you have after one mindful breath, then you want to enlarge it and make 3 breaths, make 5 breaths, and this is, I think, what you also say with approaching it with joy, that you it's about the experience you get, right? It's about the relaxation effect you get.
The relaxation effect comes from the distance that we win to our thoughts. That's always it comes down to disidentifying from our thoughts. So if we can have one mindful breath 20, 50, 100, 200 times a day, I'm kind of going, who knows, if you can do that. What we're doing is each time we have that mindful breath, we're not in our minds. And this is kind of the key. And doing it intentionally. In order to take that one mindful breath, you have to remember, you have to be here, you have to go, oh, right, I wanted to do something. And so you have to wake up. And it's all about that one moment of waking up and then staying awake for that whole breath. And then getting maybe caught up in life again. And then again, you wake up, it's right, that mindful breath. It's about that moment of waking up, of kind of arising out of the dream state and going, wait, there was something I wanted to do. And then to have that mindful breath and then to come out of that mindful breath and then kind of to fall asleep again and to go into the everyday and then wake up again, right, a mindful breath. And it's all about that waking up again and that waking up again. And that's why I find these really short meditations as many times during the day as possible to be the most beneficial because I'm always waking up.
Yeah. And then also like having just the aim to focus on this one breath. And you mentioned just not discovering whatever fantasy world and insights you've never dreamed of, but really the power is in staying with your focus on the whole inhale and exhale.
Because the kind of the point of everything that we do and that we're talking about in these talks is to help us wake up.
Yeah.
And waking up means that we're seeing things as they are, which means we're seeing things with as little filtering from the mind as possible, which means that we have to see the mind. That's kind of a prerequisite to waking up. Recognize the difference between my thoughts and what's really happening. And so the more often I can wake up, the better life gets. That's the whole waking up process, is going, oh, right there, oh, wait, awake. And then I have that breath, and that breath again is coming into the body. So it's touching again a little bit on the body scan. It kind of has a similar effect on us. We enter the body, and by focusing on the breath, we're not trying to change the breath, but the breath will automatically deepen. And so it's healthy, and it's immediate kind of vacation from everyday stress. So this is an extremely helpful practice in waking up. I think it's Rupert Spira that said so beautifully, meditation is who we are, and the separate self is what we do. And we see it as completely different. We see the separate self or the ego as who we are. And meditation is something that we do, but it's not. The perfect meditation is simply being awake. That's why we meditate. We meditate. Meditation is a word to describe that state of being aware, and being aware of being aware. And we'll talk about that in more detail. But just being here and seeing things as they are. And the more we can do that, the easier our life becomes, because we come out of this reactive state of being driven by our emotions, which are caused by the stories in our head.
Yeah. So the center of meditation is who we are, and ego is what we do.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And so the more we can wake up during the day to that one breath, oh, that just changes everything. The more we can do that, because the more we begin to see. It's not about seeing that one breath. It's about seeing the difference between what's going on in my head and what's going on out there.
Yeah. And also see, like, not making the meditation as another kind of, not another to do on your list, because then we are back in our ego.
Exactly.
So.
And the meditation becomes a stress. And that's why I say for many people, this formal sitting meditation is not going to happen, because that just creates more stress in itself. And then I have to do this because I have to meditate. You don't have to meditate. You need to wait. And meditation is the tool to do that. And if you can't sit because that sitting meditation is too painful, because you're too impatient and your mind is, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Do that one breath, for example, and do it, 100 times a day.
Yeah. And how can we, or how would you describe, like, seeing this, not seeing the space, but creating the space between your thoughts? So imagine that you have a full work day and many meetings and many emails popping in and so on. So your schedule is more than full, and so you don't even have 5 minutes time for a sitting meditation, but you have now said, okay, at least I want to do a mindful breath. And thanks to my reminder in my calendar, I get the reminder and taking the breath. So then, is it then like, how can we describe it for people who haven't long experience with meditation as the two of us? So is it like you are taking the mindful breath and then seeing, oh, okay, it's all the meeting, or I'm stressed and my body is feeling this and that, or tightness in this region. And yes, I have a full schedule, and maybe there's a connection, or just accept. Then we are guess less already more the analyzing part. So, okay, I'm stressed and accepting the stress. Yes, okay. Yeah, I see that I'm stressed.
Yeah, I think the most helpful thing is uh, the, the stress comes from the fact that we're this close to our thoughts. You know, we don't see our thoughts, we don't perceive the thoughts, we are our thoughts.
Yeah.
This creates suffering. You know, this creates stress, or this creates, you know, grief, or, you know, whatever emotion is plaguing us at the moment. And it's plaguing us because we don't see our thoughts. We are our thoughts.
Yeah.
We're so involved in the story going on in our head that we do not see it as a story going on in our head.
Yeah.
We are that. And this is the issue. And what meditation does, in particular, when we keep stepping out of the story to have that one mindful breath, is that we, instead of being in the story, we're outside of it looking at it.
Yeah.
With time, we get more distance from it, and the intensity reduces, because we begin to see the story, we begin to see our thoughts, we begin to notice that our thoughts are outside of us. You know, we are not our thoughts.
Yeah.
But in the moment of negative emotion, that's our first signal that we are identifying with our thoughts, that we don't see our thoughts anymore. We have become our thoughts.
Yeah.
And meditation is there to help us get that space or get that distance around the thoughts, so that we can see them from a distance. So we can say, oh, right, that's what's causing my stress, or that's what's causing my unhappiness, or that's what's causing my grief, are these thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And not my thoughts. And we've spoken about this, that we cannot not think. And,
Yeah.
and I personally believe in the effectiveness of replacing you know, positive thoughts, you know, replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts, because we still are, you know, the problem is the identification with thoughts. The problem is that we're so close up to them, you know, we're smashed up against them, so we can't see them.
Yeah.
And we need some distance from them. And anytime we leave the mind and do anything intentional in the body, we get the opportunity to turn and look at the thoughts, and to see them from the outside, which is where we need to be.
Yeah. And so, okay, so we take the mindful breath, and that brings us in the position that we see our thoughts are. I also like the wording, like, see the story where we are caught in. And then it's not what you're saying, this like rewriting the story. It's not about this, but it's about recognizing kind of that it's just a story which our mind is telling us.
There's no truth value per se to the story. It's only true because we believe it's true. It's our own personal reality. And to see it as that, to recognize it for its story quality, good or bad. That's why I don't believe in replacing, you know, uncomfortable stories with comfortable stories, because it still has no truth value. To see that, to get distance from that, this doesn't have to be true if I don't make it true, you know, and it doesn't need to affect me this way. And if I can get distance from it, the effect immediately is the, you know, the reduction of the heart rate, perhaps. It helps us reduce our blood pressure. It gives us the opportunity to breathe deeply and to activate some of the relaxation in, you know, the body's own innate relaxation abilities. But the long-term effect is the disengagement to the identification with the thoughts. I am my thoughts, and my thoughts are true. And this is, you know, this is a very deadly situation, to be so caught up in the story that we can't even see the story. You know, we don't see the thoughts, because we are the thoughts. And we get so caught up in our story and in the truth value of our story and in the inevitability of the future that we have created in our mind that, you know, that's that confirmation bias. We don't see anything which would be outside of that.
Yeah. But anyhow, it's very very many people have this in their mind. So of course, the first part that they are identifying with their thoughts, and then also the second part, what I'm thinking is true, and others are wrong, but not me. So especially when you're then, I would say, like entering the meditation effects or benefits, then it could be that people are missing with whom you can kind of share this disidentification with the thoughts or disidentification with the own story, because maybe you are more or less the first one and you are in your with your people around you starting it, but where I want to end up is like when you are unhappy and then you're realizing, okay, it's just my thoughts which makes me unhappy. Nevertheless, you would like to be happy. So where is there the power of meditation to once you have discovered that it's the thoughts and that it's not you, but then to get to this happiness which you're looking for, because it's not that you are saying like rewriting the story, like not replacing the bad thoughts with good thoughts. We covered this. And it doesn't really require that you have immediately to change your whole life, right?
You don't have to change anything. You just have to see it. Because there's you know, we need to qualify the word happiness. And there's that kind of superficial happiness that we get when we change external circumstances, when we get that new television, that large screen. You know, we're happy for a very short time, and as soon as that television becomes, you know, every day, as soon as we've been with it for a week, we no longer can feel that kind of happiness that we felt when we first unpacked it. It's like getting a new car is only really cool until the new car smell goes away. And we know, you know, we know this is true. We know lasting happiness cannot come from external circumstances.
Yeah.
And one kind of happy, that's the kind of happy that comes, it comes, it stays for a while, and then it goes again. And unhappiness is the same way. You know, it comes, it stays for a while, and then it goes away. And this is part of life. Life has ups and downs. And the real happiness is called peace. It's this okayness that I'm always talking about. And that's kind of the container of all of that. That's always there. That's the space in which the happiness and unhappiness of everyday existence, that's the space in which it arises. That's always there. And in getting in contact with that, you know, with that breath, stepping away from the thoughts and just seeing it and slipping into that space of peace, that's lasting happiness. And it seems very subtle. It seems very insignificant when you're caught in the roller coaster, in the drama of life. But when you step out of it, that peace just grows. And it just becomes it begins as the background. But with time, that background becomes the foreground. And the drama of your life becomes the background.
Yeah.
And a very nice place to be. And it begins with one breath.
Yeah, and I could imagine that it could be for many such a relief to listen that you don't have to change your whole life and your all the external circumstances. That happiness is really inner work.
Yeah, in fact, if you do change something in the external world, it's only cosmetic. You know, no lasting happiness can be found by changing external circumstances. Happiness is an inside job. I think you used this sentence. Happiness is seeing the background, is understanding, being aware of the container of my life, understanding and feeling this space in which all the good and the bad, the comfortable and the uncomfortable, the new cars and the old cars, in which they arise. And finding refuge in that. And it sounds so insignificant and like, well, that's not that not.
I want more.
It is.
Yeah.
Free. This frees you from the drama of your life, to enjoy it, to be with it, to feel it, but not to be overrun by it.
Yeah.
To stay in contact with the background, because then the background with time becomes the foreground.
Yeah. And this is a nice aim.
Liberation from that drama.
Yeah. Great. So we talked about the focus, the aim of the meditation, and how we approach it, and what we get from it. Did we miss anything in our?
Probably, because we didn't, but I think for today we covered enough, but we could certainly talk more in depth about formal sitting meditation, which we kind of brushed that off today as not important. And I don't want to.
Then let's take a few more minutes to talk about the sitting meditation. Well, or do you want to do it in the next talk?
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it in the next topic.
Okay.
About the sitting meditation.
Okay, perfect. Great. Then it's time for the quick summary. So, what are the main aspects what you get from meditation? It's first of all that it gives you immediate stress reduction, and that it creates the ability to focus, and that it's fine to just, or even good and recommended to start with one breath, maybe once per day or several times per day. And you also can do a formal sitting meditation, but you don't have to, especially not if you're resisting the sitting meditation. But as we just said, we will touch on this later. And what you will experience with already one mindful breath is that you create the space between you and your thoughts, so that you start disidentifying with your thoughts, and that you see that it's just a story you are telling yourself. It's what you said, the container you are in. And so whatever feeling is dominant in you, what if it's stress or grief or unhappiness, it's that you can access the happiness right now, and it's not required to change anything in the external world, in the external circumstances, because all the external changes are cosmetic, but not contributing to a lasting, sustainable happiness. And so to this lasting happiness might be just accessible in the very background of you, but the more you access the happiness of the background, and the more you get it to the foreground, and so the more dominant it gets.
Exactly.
Great. Thank you so much. And so our next talk will be kind of the next level, being aware of being aware, right?
Well, start with the formal meditation, and in the formal meditation, we'll discuss the being aware of being aware.
Cool. I'm looking forward. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Bye, Lisa.